I don't know what your plans are for the July 4th weekend. I will still be here through July 4th, taking off actually on my birthday, the 5th, for the Atlantic City junket. And that's with a bunch of Alta-Cockers. It's always kind of interesting to board that plane and realize that I'll be 71 that day, that I'm the youngest guy on the plane.
That's funny. I love that.
You talk about Con Air, man. That plane should just have a skull and crossbones on it. Never mind, some kind of symbol of what the airlines is all about. I mean, it's kind of like, there's a pretty good chance that somebody might check out on the flight.
Oh, Jesus.
With, the people that are going on it.
No.
We have a medical emergency. We're going to be landing in Tampa. Oh, okay, great. What is it? And then you look back and row 16 is a guy having a seizure. Yeah. Yeah, you never know if that plane's going to take off on time because there's usually somebody that has to get off. At the last second, they start shaking, and we'll be slightly delayed here today as the paramedics have to board the plane. All right, clear the aisle. You get your chart of flight.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Good morning. What did Defo say? What a beautiful day. I don't know. He says the same thing no matter what. It can be raining cats and dogs. It can be a freaking thunderstorm. It can be a hurricane. It can be beautiful, Defo says. What a beautiful morning. I don't always agree, but it is a beautiful morning today. I actually, for the first time in a long time, posted like a picture of the sky. Like I've been around my wife long enough where you take a picture of freaking everything. You have a knish. You have a bowl of cereal that looks like Jesus. Whatever you do, you take a picture of it. And that's what we do. So good morning here on South Florida Live. Good morning here on the Defo Show with no Defo, just Lubie here. Hopefully everyone had a happy, healthy, and a safe 4th of July. It was, once again, riddled with sadness. First, we had a shooting within the first 10 minutes of 4th of July, which is ridiculous. Sorry, we're posting here. I'm doing every single duty. So if you guys are writing us, I love it. I appreciate it. I can't even really read people's messages yet because we're doing everything today. But yes, starting on a sad note, we in a day and time where women's bodies mean less than guns. Guns were the story of the day. Last time alone, I talked about abortion because it was the first time we were doing a show since Roe v. Wade had been, I guess, overturned. So I decided to speak because that's what I do. And now I'm doing a show again after shootings, and it was multiple shootings. We actually, since Friday, had 11. We had 3 yesterday. Literally, even I was like, okay, dude, it's 4th of July. Like, let's just, it's like the tournament, right? The NCAA tournament is when we lie to ourselves that college athletics is still amateur. Right? All year long, we bitch and moan, and it's about money, money, money. Then the NCAA tournament comes on along, and we're like, oh my God, college sports, it's so amazing. But so for 2-3 weeks, we lie to ourselves and remember the good old days of college sports. That's what 4th of July was going to be for me, right? We bitch and moan, whatever side you're on, you're bitching. That's what's funny is one side's like, well, I'm right. The other one's, I'm right. Yeah, but you're bitching. You're not happy. We're not. No one's happy, right? Okay. So all of us are frustrated with the country we live in. But on 4th of July, Independence Day, we're like, oh my God, it's the greatest. Look at the fireworks, the hot dogs, the apple pie. Woohoo. That's the one day we can all just be American. No, not anymore. That's actually why I laugh when people just put their head in the sand. Even on the 4th of July, all the things that we're bitching about happened. All of them on 4th of July. We can't go to a fucking parade. It's not an urban area. It's literally Highland Park is one of the richest neighborhoods, not in Chicago, not in Illinois, in America. Okay, like Obama lives there. Like celebrities who don't even live in Chicago live there. That's what Highland Park is, okay? So just like with Parkland, one of the safest schools in the country, one of the best schools in the country, you're not safe anywhere. And even on the 4th of July, we were reminded of the things that are wrong with this country. Even those that tell me, well, just shut up and dribble. I'd love to. Believe me, I would love to just talk about fucking sports. Like I would, believe me. That's literally what Defo talks about. The 1 day, the 1 week he was in the news department. When I was between jobs before I met Defo, they tried to stick me to like look up news stories and write up news posts. I almost passed out. Like it was like a half a day. And I was like, yeah, there's no way this is happening. And like the next day Defo walked in and I was like, oh, thank God. Like we don't want to talk about this. Believe me. Like we're not well versed in this. My mom watches MSNBC all freaking day. Even Defo will put on CNN. I don't watch any news. Like I don't. Once that election happened in 2020, I stopped paying attention to the news because whatever side you're on, it's not that it's depressing. I know the world's depressing. It's bullshit. So like I just stopped paying attention to it. So don't like when we talk about this. Someone the other day was so funny. Like when we post stuff on 5 Reasons, we get lots of comments and it's cool and I appreciate it. Like yeah, and happy birthday, by the way, to the one and only Jeff DeForest. I wanted to say that near the beginning of the show. Happy birthday. He's not here, so like usually on his birthday shows we do a whole friggin' thing. He's not here, so I'm not doing the whole thing. But happy birthday to him. So go on Facebook. He's very active. Jeff D with a space Forest. There's Vinny, not Vinny, it's famous boxer is the face. So if you look and you're like, who the fuck? It's Defo. Wish him a happy birthday. He's in Atlantic City, as our open stated. So happy birthday to him. And I wanted to talk sports because the funny thing is, and this is what I'm getting back to it, they comment on our 5 Reasons. We have our South Florida content is on 5 Reasons with Ethan Skolnick, and he does a great job. They do a great job. It's not what we're trying to do here at South Florida Live. South Florida Live, we're trying to really harness all that South Florida is. You know, have a music show, hopefully have a woman roundtable show, do a bunch of other things we're trying to do here. And I won't give it all away, but we have the Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, home Mike Mayo's Lunchbox every day at 12 o'clock. And that talks food. We throw a little sports, but mostly food. The Greek's giving his plays, you know. We do our thing, which is sports baseline, but other things, right? So that's what we're trying to do here. But our South Florida sports, really the home to me of South Florida sports right now is 5 Reasons. There's no local radio. People are like, well, are you going to get to radio? No, I don't want to be on radio. There's like 3 stations, and between all 3, there's like 3 to 4 live shows total. Like radio, it's not even that it's a dead thing. It's just dumb. Like radio doesn't have to die. You could have merged digital and radio. They didn't want to. Okay, so we're here, and this is where we're going to be. But 5 Reasons, really, to me, the local home of South Florida sports. Like Ethan did a really good job getting some young people, some older people, merging them to really talk about local sports the way local radio used to. Okay, and that's what we do here, sorta, but we do a lot more. We get a lot of comments there. South Florida Live, our YouTube channel, our YouTube network. That's really what the idea is there. We don't get a lot of comments, but I don't know what we did, I guess a week ago. Defo and I talked about, I don't know what we were talking about, but the guy was like, politics? And I was like, politics? I was like, we didn't talk about education. We didn't talk about taxes. We didn't even talk about healthcare reform, which to me really isn't politics either. Like, to me, if it deals with individual safety and life, that's not politics. That's humanity. So when we talk about Roe v. Wade, when we talk about guns, when we talk about any of those things that I'm sure you don't want from us, it's still not talking politics. Like, we live in this fucking world where we made everything politics. It's not politics. Talking about guns was something that, look, when Clinton put in that assault rifle ban, it was easily put in and went across the aisle because guns wasn't this, well, right versus left. Lots of liberals have guns. Lots of Republicans don't. Like, guns wasn't this, like, in the same thing. Like, it just wasn't. It wasn't even, and abortion wasn't even that until, like, the 80s. Like, it wasn't, Roe v. Wade hadn't happened in the 70s, but like by the 70s, it was sort of understood. Yeah, I mean, like you should be able to get a freaking abortion. Like, so I don't know. Look, I understand this is not where you want me to start, but I'm sorry. We had 3 shootings yesterday and we had 11 since Friday. Like, how do you not talk about that? Like, how do you go on air? Oh my God, what a beautiful hue to the sky. Like, come on. Like, are you kidding me? Like, there are certain things in the world you got to talk about. And if you don't, whatever side you're on, you're a fucking child. You're a little kid. And sucks for me. I wasn't allowed to be. My parents from the age of like 4 told me life isn't fair. Is that good or bad? I don't know. All I know is that's life. You got to face it. You got to confront it. And what's going on in this country sucks. And I'm not going to slam America. I love America. I'm literally the person that puts my hand over my heart every time I listen to the anthem. Every time the anthem is on, I put my hand on my heart and I sing the song. I've done that my entire life. Usually, especially if I'm in public, I stand up and I get chills every time. But it's getting harder to feel that way. because we don't want to talk, we don't want to listen, and we don't want to be better. And look, as a guy who's coaching 8 and under boys, I give my guys credit because they're trying to be better. And as a country, we're not. So it was sad. We also lost an icon in the radio industry of South Florida, Hank Goldberg, a guy that I don't know if I would say he's close to the show, but he was a fan of the show. I know that Defo and him were really good friends, and he was very degenerate, leaning. And Segredo, we play a clip of Segredo talking to Hank, and he was really close to Hank. And Hank, I know, was a big supporter of Defoe's and vice versa. And I know from behind the scenes, I never really talked to Hank. I talked to him a couple times, but he was a fan of mine as well. So Hank wasn't always easy to deal with as a listener. I know he was pretty hard on his listeners, but we were big fans of his, and God rest his soul. He passed yesterday in his home at age 82. Defo, we talked about over-unders and stuff like that, but he lived the way he wanted to live. He wrapped up radio down here, went out to Vegas, and he was doing his thing. So I hope he went out how he wanted to go out. But when Defo gets back, we'll talk more about Hank, because I really didn't have the relationship with Hank that Defo did. But I know that Defo was a huge supporter of Hank Goldberg, and I know that he was, in his own way, a supporter of our show. So rest in peace, Hank. Hopefully there's some winning tickets up in the sky up there, as Defo talks about. Hopefully you didn't see all your losses. You just focus on the wins. And God rest your soul. Rest in peace. And I do hope everyone had a good 4th of July. Look, it started really rough. Like literally, it was in Chicago at a parade. So it was the morning. A lot of us were just coming too. And we heard of the sad, tragic events. And I'm not saying thoughts and prayers, because we need actual actions. Thoughts and prayers obviously aren't doing anything. But it was sad. And again, someone took a gun, an 18 to 20-year-old that they found and peacefully arrested. It is funny that when it's a white guy who's armed, they can peacefully arrest him. When it's a black guy who's unarmed, they can't. That's another fun thing. But we're not going to be uber, dark today. But yeah, it was 4th of July, and I hope people got shook off the rust of that in Chicago, and they got to have some fun. Because look, I did. We went to my sister's house, had a barbecue, had the hot dogs, the hamburgers, the chicken wings, and the whole thing. The one thing I will say is we didn't get around to fireworks, and to me, it's not 4th of July without fireworks, right? Like I grew up and I was so scared of fireworks, like as a child, and a lot of time Defo doesn't like them now because his dogs go crazy. My cat doesn't. We have a kitten. She's like 7 months, and she's a freaking G. Like she's not scared of shit outside of like my sister's puppy. For some reason, it freaks her out. Cecilia doesn't give a shit. Like Cecilia is not scared of anything. The fireworks are popping off all around us, and she's just laying there half passed out. But where we live, and it's cool because it does keep the temperature down, but there's trees everywhere, like everywhere. So you can hear fireworks everywhere, but like we can't see it. So I grew up, we always go to fireworks. My family to this day still goes. You get there at like 6 for the fireworks to start at 9 because you have to get a good spot. Well, I'm not going somewhere to sit there for freaking 3 hours. I don't have kids yet. So you try and pass the time, but we don't do that. So we're sitting in our house last night, my wife and I, and we're like, okay. Like you can hear the fireworks and you want to see them, and we can't see them, and that makes me sad. So we like found them on TV in like New York, which sort of pacified us. But I hope you got out there and got to watch fireworks. We promised ourselves this is the last year we will ever not watch fireworks, because as sad as it started, and that's the thing, that's why I started with the rant, because the reality is I love 4th of July, like Thanksgiving, and then when I was in college, Halloween, because I mean it's the one holiday of the year where great-looking women give themselves the right to just be half naked, and that's wonderful. As a college man, heterosexual man, so I loved Halloween growing up, and then in college. But 4th of July was always great because the family got together with friends, barbecued, we went and watched fireworks. So that's the thing. Like I didn't want to come out here and rail against America because I am American. I love this country. It's just, to me, to pretend like we're just great without fault, stupid. Like that's just being dumb. It's like we've made politics sports. It's like your sports team. Like sports fans usually are honest about their team. They don't just think they're the best ever when they're not. They don't just think they're the worst ever when they're good. You're usually pretty honest. And if you've listened to me as a sports fan over the last decade plus, you will realize I'm very negative as a sports fan. I own that. I admit it. Okay. So to me, if we can do that with our sports, why can't we do that with our country? However, after we got over that, they got the guy, and a handful of people passed. 20 plus were injured, and hopefully they recover. We sort of recovered as a country, and we got to 4th of July, and it was freaking cool, and I had a great time. And it's still that day, just like the NCAA tournament, where you can forget all the garbage and all the fear and all the anxiousness and all the and enjoy the day. So I hope you got out there. I hope you were able to enjoy your 4th of July. I did, for the most part, and I am here. Defo, as you can tell, is not here. It's so funny. He always made fun of me for traveling. I've never done this. Like, we'll do a trip, and then I make sure my wife knows, then fiance, then girlfriend. I can't go away for a while. I have to work. Defo, today, happy birthday, Defo, is now 71. So good for him. That's amazing. He has done what a lot of people didn't think he could do. And he's made it so far. And he's kicking, boy. He's more active now than he's ever been. He does his walk every day. Every day he does a walk that I couldn't do. Like mid-heat, he'll go sometimes 12, 1 o'clock, walk like 4 miles. And then he plays tennis like 2-3 times a week, like 5, 6 o'clock, like while it's still hot. So this dude is kicking it, and he's doing it in a way that I'm not doing it at 39. So good for him. But what I'll say is, he's traveling more than ever. Like, he always made fun of me for traveling. I like traveling. My wife is addicted to it. She's on another level. I wouldn't say I'm addicted, but I like traveling. I do like going and meeting people, eating different things, seeing the world, seeing different stuff. I don't really sleep on planes, so that's sort of a pain in the ass. But other than that, I enjoy it. Defo was I'm going to New Orleans, Atlantic City, Vegas guy, and that was his stuff. We made it to Italy, loved it. He went back to New Orleans a week later, and now he's in Atlantic City. So from what I've been told, he's not doing this for a while after this, but it's his birthday. He'll go to a casino if he wants to. 71. So go to his Facebook, Jeff DeForest. Wish him a happy birthday, because it is a happy occasion. It was sort of a tough day yesterday between what happened in Chicago and Hank Goldberg, but Defo is one to celebrate, and he will be celebrating all week in Atlantic City. So you celebrate with him, wish him a happy birthday. This is the Defo show. There is no Defo for the next couple days, but you will have me at 7:35. You will have the Greek talking about gambling. The Greek is hot. Okay, so the things we have right now, we're building. It's a slow build. Okay, here on South Florida Live, our show every day, 12 o'clock. You get Mike Mayo's lunchbox with Defo and me every day at 12 o'clock. And then usually about twice a week, you get the Greeks plays. We've had the professor go on really hot streaks in college football. He was doing amazing things with USFL and Australian rules football. The Greek is hot right now. Okay. The Greek is now 8-1 he had 2 NBA finals plays. He's had 6 baseball plays, and he had the USFL game. And what's funny is the team he picked lost, but he was getting 4 points. And if you watched or paid attention to, Philadelphia lost by 3. So, as I've learned, because I've been around the degenerate world for this entire time, the Greek won. So the Greek is now 8-1 on his plays. You should definitely check them out. They're quick hits, and that's kind of stuff we're going to do here. We're going to do our shows. We're going to do a lot of different kind of content, sports and other realms. But he's 8-1. So, I mean, the guy's hot. So I couldn't do a show without having him join me. So the Greek will join me at about 7:35. And then the one and only Brett Tessler, brought to you by Michael D. Wild, a state attorney, will join me. Tessler will join me at about 8:35. The NFL world, we're finally getting close. I think like in the next week or so, if not already, training camp opens. We get preseason in August, and then we get the NFL season in September. Thank goodness. So really excited about that. And we'll talk about the NFL odds and ends. To his name is spoken again, and whatever. So much around the Dolphins and so much around the NFL always. It was interesting. The NBA free agency bled into the weekend, or went into the weekend. And Durant's still there. Donovan Mitchell's still there at his place in Utah. But the murmurs keep coming that KD and Donovan Mitchell could possibly be traded. The Jazz have come out saying they're not going to trade Donovan Mitchell. I find that hard to believe. Like, yeah, they don't want to trade him, and that's fine. I mean, you get rid of Rudy Gobert for a bunch of picks and really, really young players. Like, you're not winning now. And Mitchell, Mitchell's young. The dude's like 25, and you have him 3 more years, but he's been in the playoffs every year. They've made it to significant conference finals. Like, he's not trying to be a part of a rebuild with a 34-year-old coach. Like, you do hire a 34-year-old coach, like you're openly, and then you trade a perennial All-NBA defensive stalwart in Rudy Gobert. Yeah, I get it. Gobert and Mitchell didn't get along, but like you're not contending now. Like you're openly admitting, yeah, we're starting over. I don't care what the Jazz say. Like that's what they're doing. So to me, Mitchell, until he hasn't officially asked out, but it feels like the clock's ticking on Donovan Mitchell. And to me, what's interesting is, what are we doing? And I love you, Andy. I'm trying to read messages and do this, and it's literally impossible. The interesting thing to me is you hear the Suns doing everything they can to get Kevin Durant. The Heat are sort of locked in, where they can only give up so much for Kevin Durant because Durant's made it clear he doesn't want to go to the Heat if they give up Bam and Lowry. Now, I think you can talk him into no Lowry, but like the point of him coming here is to play with Bam and Jimmy because they would be the best team in the NBA. Like you have Jimmy Butler, who by himself, with everyone hurt, almost went to the NBA Finals. You have Bam and you have Kevin Durant. Like those are three dudes that are very different players that should actually fit perfectly. And then you wouldn't have to get rid of everyone. Like they have a nice bench. Like that team would be the best team in the Eastern Conference, I would think, and they would contend with anyone in the West. So that's why he would want to come here. So the Heat, it's a little tougher to go get him because the Nets, look, he has 4 years on his deal. Like he can ask out and they're working to get him out, but they're not going to give him away for nothing. So the Suns are doing everything they can to put a ridiculous trade package together to get Kevin Durant there. To me, it feels like Durant's going to go to Phoenix and the Heat are going to do everything they can to get Donovan Mitchell. Because for Mitchell, you don't have to put the same kind of trade deal together. Like you could get Donovan Mitchell's younger, which is positive, but he hasn't had the same success. He's not a top 3 player in the NBA. He's like a top 15, top 20 player in the NBA. Like Durant could be argued as the best player in the league. And he still is playing really well. So you'd have to give up a lot more for him. You don't have to give up as much for Mitchell, So to me, that's sort of where the NBA lies this weekend. We had big news last week when it came to college football, USC, UCLA, taking that LA market, arguably the first or second television market, over to the Big Ten from the Pac-12. Murmurs are, okay, what's next? The SEC, Big 12 position themselves as the top 2 conferences by a lot. The ACC still has a Clemson, still has an FSU, and like a North Carolina, Virginia, VT, Miami, that have followings that make it still a decent conference. Like the Big 12 sort of sucks and Pac-12 sort of sucks now, especially since Oregon and Washington have been reported to want to go to the Big 10 or Big 12, Big 14, whatever the hell it is. The ACC, we haven't heard any reports, but the murmurs are a Florida State or a Clemson could possibly go to an SEC, maybe a Virginia, maybe a Miami, maybe North Carolina. So that's been the talk when it comes to college football. We are a month and a half away. College football starts Labor Day, the end of August is when college football starts. So we're getting real close, thank goodness, to football. Talking about college football was a very interesting weekend down here when it came to recruiting. A very interesting week. Miami Hurricanes have sort of gone all in a way that we've never seen. Like for years, you had Billy Corbin come on here, the professor, who are Cane fans. Corbin is a Cane alum. The professor grew up a Cane fan, but they're honest Cane fans where the way that the higher ups focus on education, it's been clear they don't care about sports, right? And whenever they do anything with sports, it's usually sort of half-assed. So they've said for years that the Canes aren't going to compete. Well, over the last few months, what is it, 6 months? We've seen 7 months, the Canes go all in a way where they went and got the AD from Clemson, Radakovich, who was a alum. They went and brought Cristobal from Oregon, who had all the money in the world and was winning the Pac-12 or contending with the Pac-12 every single year. They gave Cristobal tons of money to go and put together a ridiculous staff with a lot of guys who were in positions winning at that point from Michigan and Georgia in the SEC. So they spent money they've never spent. And there's a lot of talk and they're excited. And this last week, they went bonkers when it came to recruiting. I mean, they went and got a top 10 quarterback. Now, they spent a ridiculous amount of money on a quarterback that got outplayed by a lot. Like in the Elite 11 this weekend, their quarterback that they spent supposedly $9 million on wasn't even in the top 12. So they probably overpaid a little bit for him, but they got a guy that's rated top 50 in every recruiting source. They went and got a top 3 tight end who's a high 4-star. They went and got a top 15 receiver who was a former Clemson commit. They went and got a defensive back who was a Georgia commit, who was a 4-star, top, I think, 200 kid. And then yesterday, the cherry on top, for a week. The Canes haven't had in recruiting since, I think, that first year of Randy Shannon, when they had the #1 recruiting class in the country, when they just got that entire Northwestern team that was #1 in the country to commit. They went and got a 5-star offensive lineman who is anywhere from number 5 to number 15 in the country ranked, depending on the source. 1 or 2 offensive tackle in the country. They haven't got an offensive lineman of this caliber in well over a decade. And Bama and USC, Florida was after him. Tennessee was after him pretty hard. And he committed to Miami. So they literally got, I think, 3 or 4 4-stars and a 5-star in a 1-week span. So far, and I'm sure, and I'm hoping to talk to Tony Segredo tomorrow and Ed Garcia, but the Canes, so far, at least recruiting-wise, they're top 10 in the country in every source. And yes, look, as a Seminole, we did this last year. We literally, I think, had gotten a 5-star and a bunch of 4-stars in like a 2-week span, and we were geeked. We had like 2nd or 5th, 3rd best recruiting class in like June, and it was like, oh my God. And then the bottom fell out. So what happens now doesn't mean everything, but it is cool to get momentum going into the season. And so far, the Canes have done that, put together a ridiculous staff, and have gone out and recruited against the SEC top-notch schools, Clemson in the ACC, Georgia, Bama, Oregon in the Big 12 for now. I mean, the Pac-12 for now. So it was a big weekend. If you're a Canes fan, you should be excited. I'm a Knoll, and I go at it with the Canes, and not because I think Cristobal, I don't know what he'll be. I think as a coach, he's sort of but he's a great recruiter, and that's as big a part of college football as anything is recruiting. So if you can recruit, you'll do something. You're not going to suck. The coaching is what takes you over the top, and that remains to be seen with Mario Cristobal. But right now, all they can do is recruit and coach in the summer, and he's doing it. So a huge week to weekend for the Hurricanes, and there's still a couple other big names out there that are seriously interested in the Canes. The Knolls and the Gators are definitely falling behind when it comes to the Canes, so we'll see what happens with the season. As college football is about a month and a half away. NFL is about a month away or so for the preseason, and then a couple months from the regular season. Again, it is Defo's birthday. You don't have Defo, but you do have me. Coming up next, we will talk with the Greek. Yes, the Greek is 8-1. Check out the Greek's plays of the day here on South Florida Live. Also at 12 o'clock each and every day, you have Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. Mayo did not pull off a Joey Chestnut. And Joey Chestnut himself, I guess there was like a protester or fan that ran in the middle of the Nathan's hot dog contest yesterday. I don't know how that happens, but he still ate 60-something hot dogs, Chestnut, and won his 15th title. Mayo tried to do that Friday himself on the Lunchbox, and that he failed miserably. It was over under 6 and a hook. He was trying to eat 7 hot dogs. He'd win in 10 minutes. He ate 5 hot dogs in 8.5 minutes. He failed miserably. It was a disaster. It was disappointing. And it was sort of pathetic, to be brutally honest, as a guy that will eat 5 to 6 meals in like a 4-hour span. You thought his stomach was ready for that. It was not. It was a joke. And he not only didn't meet the goal, he didn't meet the time limit. He tapped out, which is something I am coaching in under boys. I don't care if they lose. You can't quit. You never quit. Like, he tried to explain, well, it's better. No, it's not better. Quitting is the worst thing ever. You never quit. You can lose. Losing happens in sports. Quitting, you never quit. I don't give a shit what happens. I was freaking 6 years old, and the ball hit me in the eye, and I was tiny, and I couldn't see, and I finished the damn game. Like, you finish the game. Like, you always do that. You might not win, but you finish. And he failed and did not finish. So we won the bet. So we will see what his excuses are today. Because that sort of took up most of the show. By the time he was done, the show ended. So we'll have him at 12 o'clock. Again, Defo is in Atlantic City this week doing his AC thing. He's been a traveling man, was in Italy, I think 2-3 weeks ago, was in New Orleans a week and a half ago, and is back this time in the Eastern Seaboard, the Northeast. He is in Atlantic City. And Eric does bring up a good point. The Marlins have won 5 in a row. I think have crept within 2 games of 500. I think they're within like 6 or 7 of the wild card. So that's cool. Bruce Sherman's the owner, but they've gotten rid of Jeter's gone. The guy he brought in from New York is gone. And is under fire, but she was definitely hearing some whispers. So winning 5 in a row, the hitting has sort of woke up. The bullpen has sort of hunkered down, and we know the pitching has been spectacular all season long. Alcantara is the front runner for the Cy Young right now, which is amazing. So the Marlins finally giving us something. Gary Denbo. Yeah, Denbo's the guy. that was this savant with the Yankees and has been a disaster with the Marlins, so he's gone. But the Marlins have won 5 in a row, and the Nationals, they're like 12-1, I think, this year or something against the Nationals, which the Nationals going into the season are supposed to contend. They've been an utter disaster. The Nationals and Phillies have been a total joke. The Mets and Braves have been everything they were cracked up to be, and the Marlins are sitting there trying to sniff out something. In the next month or so is when you're going to figure out if teams are trading or bringing on assets. The Marlins right now are sitting there in the middle. I hope they give us something to root for in the next month or so, like we did every year. I know, R.I.P. Hank. Well, every year we did our drive for 75 and whatever we did involving deal with the Marlins. We are not doing it this year for good reason. I mean, they've let us down. Out of the 4 years we did it, they only hit it once, and that was the COVID shortened season. But we want them to win. It'd be cool, give us something to talk about as we have a month and a half till football season kicks off. And yes, the Dolphins and Tua was in the news. So at 8:35, we'll talk with Brett Tessler as well, as people keep coming for Tua. Someone this weekend said Baker Mayfield is better than Tua. Maybe, I don't know. I've been a Tua supporter just because we know the kid has talent. Like, everyone wanted him. The Chargers wanted him more than Herbert. So yeah, Herbert should turn out to be great. But again, Herbert hasn't won either. Tua has a better record than Herbert. And Herbert had better talent. Herbert had better talent around him, had a coach who supported him. And Tua had neither and has a better record. So whatever you want to say about Tua, he at least wins. You gave Tebow the winner moniker when Tebow wasn't winning. Tebow literally did everything he could to fuck his team. Their defense and kicker was record-setting, and they would win by like a point because Tebow was such a joke. Like, that's not happening with Tua. Like, Tua doesn't get in his team's way. He had the one game where he had like 3 picks. And even that game, I think he had a chance to win it at the end. So, like, Tua stays out of his team's way at least. And he had no talent, none. Like, Herbert had a lot of talent, and Tua has a better record for whatever that means. Because supposedly winning is all that matters, but when it comes to Tua, it doesn't. So, anyways, I don't know what Tua will be. I just love the people slamming him when he's had nothing around him. Like, okay. So, anyways, this is the Defo Show, no Defo, just Lubie here on South Florida Live. Coming up next, we talk with one and only Greek. Hopefully everyone had a happy, healthy, and a safe 4th of July. It started out shaky and then Chicago, but thank goodness we heard of no other sad news the rest of the day. Look, hopefully things fix themselves magically, because in Washington, D.C., they don't make laws to save people anymore. They make laws to make our lives worse for some reason. But at least the rest of the day went hopefully well for you. Again, our thoughts and prayers are out to the Goldberg family. Hank Goldberg, an icon in the South Florida radio scene, an icon in the gambling world, a guy that Defo was I don't know if he was close to, but they were really cool. And Defo was definitely a big Hank supporter, and Hank was a huge Defo supporter and a big supporter of everything we did. So God rest his soul. Rest in peace, Hank. Hopefully, again, up there, you're cashing in winning tickets, as Defo likes to say. Coming up next, we'll talk to another man who cashes a lot of winning tickets, especially here on South Florida Live. You need to follow his picks. The Greek's plays of the day. He's 8-1 so far. We'll see if he has a play for you, and we'll see how his 4th of July was. And at 8:35, we'll talk with the one and only Brett Tessler, the agent to the stars. Thank you to Michael D. Wild. Coming up next, the Greek, right here. The Defo Show. No Defo, just Lubie, here on South Florida Live.
Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapists, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, There is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Young blood in the announcing booth. It's a possibility. They've gone with the hot chick theory, which, works for me, as they say.
Of course.
Yeah.
When I go down to Miami, that's all I do is I put the weather on. I shut off the sound. It's awesome.
Yeah, it could be snowing outside. You don't care. You don't want to hear what the
Who
person has to say.
It's now time for the Defo Show. Welcome back to the Defo Show.
All righty, as they just said, welcome back to the Defo Show. No Defo, just Lubie here on South Florida Live. We're doing our thing each and every day. Mike Mayo, the Lunchbox, is doing his thing each and every day. This gentleman visits us at least once a week, but hopefully a couple times a week, and as we get to football, more. And you need to follow what he's doing, because as picks go, as plays go, this man is, as they say, on a heater, now 8-1 after he hasn't watched a second of the USFL, but he called it. Philadelphia covered, getting 4 points, losing 33-30 to Birmingham in the title game. And now this gentleman, the Greek, is 8-1 on his plays right here in South Florida Live. Good morning. Happy 4th, Greek. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I think it's 9-1. You might have to check the record.
Sorry, 9-1. Sorry, sir. We don't want to cheat you out of your plays. 9-1. Mostly baseball plays when no one even watches baseball anymore, and this guy is getting the plays right. What's going on, Greek man? How was your 4th? How you doing?
I'm all right. I also had the under on Joey Chestnut.
Oh, you did.
72 hot dogs.
You did. What was the over under at? 70?
I think it was 70 or 71. That wasn't given out on the air, but I had the under. My friends had it, but it was good, Devo. Good, Lubie. And good weekend, fireworks, same old stuff. Crashed a couple of barbecues I wasn't invited to. Tried to get paid a town fee, but you know how people are. Defo is unbelievable. He's in more cities than Lady Gaga. What the hell is going on? I mean, every time you turn around, he's Atlantic City, Italy. I mean, man, he's talking about a heater. My God.
Yeah, especially for a guy who like isn't a big traveler. Like he's not like, let me travel all the time. He hates traveling.
Go to the studio.
Yeah, so he went to Atlantic City today. Yeah, he went to Atlantic City today, your neck of the woods, Mr. Jersey. And what's so funny is your guy from Jersey that pretty much says he won't even step foot in Atlantic City. Yeah, Defo like lives there.
Oh, he loves it. Oh, he loves it. He loves it. Degenerate City, he loves it. He's a great guy. Always appreciate being on with you guys. July 19th, rookies report to NFL camps. So that's good news. That's 2 weeks away. The 26th, all the veterans come. So we're getting closer and closer to trying to pay our rent.
All right, so we talked with you about the Dolphins. You've been pretty good about over-unders when it was the Dolphins and the Jets. You got it 9 and hook. Defo and I so far have seen it 8 and a hook, but it doesn't matter. You think they'll win at least 10. So you're going over with the Dolphins. Yeah. Is there any other, like, when you look at the season plays, whether it's college football or the NFL, that you're really interested in?
I mean, I'm still doing my homework. Again, over-unders, you got to look at two things. You got to look at schedule, strength of schedule, and the last month of the season. I mean, and now it's changed over the last few years in the NFL where the last month of the season, you play division games. They didn't have that years ago. So, a lot of times you're not resting guys. So you have to see how teams – and the biggest thing with everything is the crapshoot because it's injury. Somebody gets hurt, you're screwed. I think the Packers are going to have a little bit of a, different season without Adams. The guy got, 62% of the balls. I think the Chiefs are too. Tough division, and they lost Hill. Those are two teams that I think have high overs that I might look at the unders. I think there's still a lot of bad teams in the league. I don't think Arizona's going to get out to a good start without Hopkins. I really see him, he's one of the best receivers in the NFL, and losing him was big. I think Tampa Bay will be okay, but Gronk is a loss for Brady. I mean, again, you're going to have to just wait and see how it is, how training camp happens. And, a lot of times people don't like to bet over-unders because you're tying your money up for 4 months. I'll be in the Circa sports betting contest again. One of my buddies, Two of my friends sponsor me every year. Yeah, they sponsor me. I don't do it. They put up the money. So we'll see. I mean, it should be good. But, just a lot of reading, checking it out, and, see what happens. I mean, I think it was big news last week. UCLA and USC left the Pac-12 for the money. Down the road, I think that's going to be hard for those teams traveling and freezing, cold weather for those California kids. But, these are really the dog days of summer, obviously, right now. I know yesterday we had sad news about Hank Gilbert passing. That was a shame, icon for sports radio down here for years. But, it's just, like I said, these are next 3-4 weeks. There's not much going on, just baseball. And we know how much people care about baseball. Down here, all you got to say is the Marlins have won 5 in a row, Yankees and Mets, and that's it. Nobody else cares. I mean, that's all it is. That's the sport. Nobody else cares.
Well, and even
you got some Red Sox people.
Well, and the Marlins usually don't win 5 in a row, so you don't even get to mention them.
Well, they won yesterday, so that's why I said it. They won 5 in a row. So, and baseball streaks, I've always told people that hot and cold. Teams will win 7 in a row, they'll lose 5 in a row. I mean, anything after 3, you start hammering. Either way, even if it's bad.
So you would stay. You would stay with the Marlins. You would stay with the Marlins then, since they are in 5 in a row.
Yeah, if they won 5 in a row, I would see if they get to 7 or 8. It's possible. Any team that loses 3 in a row or wins 3 in a row, you look at the Braves are hot as a firecracker. The Yankees. There's a lot of teams, but if you look up and down and you see the last 10 games, you'll see a lot of teams that are 2 and 8 or 7 and 3, and you always want to bet a team, whichever direction they're going in, good or bad. When a team's going bad, I don't like when a lot of guys will be like, oh, they're due. They're not due. They're due to lose again. It's like when you're at a roulette wheel and red comes up. Red comes up 17 times in a row. You're like, oh, black's due. No, it's not. I mean, so we'll see. But, football's always better, exciting, college, before you know. But, then once September comes, the year's done. I mean, those 4 months go like rapid fire.
Yep.
So we'll see. I mean, Wimbledon's going on. Some people are interested in that. I think golf got a nice juice, with all the LIV stuff and the guys betting and, making big money because before that, nobody talked about golf. But right now, these are the dog days of summer for sports. There's just baseball around, and that's hard. And, Kevin Durant not being happy and wanting to leave the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, that's like a Kardashian being happy. He's never happy. When is Durant or Irving ever happy? Never. And these guys are making $40 million a year, and then they talk about a regular guy making $40,000. He's got a family. He's not happy. Of course, he's not happy. Kevin Durant's not happy. I mean, so it's tough. I mean, it is. And Defo's in Atlantic City right now, betting horses.
He just keeps going. Well, look, it's funny.
But no, a lot's going on.
Talking about the NFL plays, it's funny because another team, you've gone in on the Dolphins when it comes to season over-unders. You've done it with the Jets. And Devo's talked about this recently, and I didn't know what the hell he was talking about, but I've actually saw a lot of it this weekend, which I don't understand. A lot of money is coming in on the Jets. Like, a lot of people have this weird feeling that, like, they're going to have this great year. And I know they had a good draft and Zach Wilson year 2 and whatever, but, like, you follow the NFL as much as anyone, and you are a guy with Northeastern ties. Do you see this miraculous season for the Jets? Like, I don't understand why all these people have all this faith in the Jets.
No. I don't see Zach Wilson being a good quarterback. I just don't. I think he's still got time to grow. He's a short guy. I think this thing that the NFL has with these quarterbacks that are short and that can run and pass, I don't think it's going to be around in a couple of years because I think these guys can get hurt, whether it's him. That's the whole thing with all these guys. Tua, Murray. I mean, we'll see. I could be wrong, but I just don't see it with the speed of the linebackers today and, the defensive players. It's hard. And a lot of guys look to run first instead of pass, and I think that'll catch up to them. The Jets, they got a lot of holes. They had a great draft, probably the best draft, but they're all rookies. It's going to take them, a few years to settle down, and that's a tough division. You know, Miami's, I think, is one of the most improved teams in the NFL. When you look at what they did, the free agency. I mean, they even, you know, they got Wilson from Dallas. Nobody talks about him. He's a speedster. You know, they obviously got eclipsed by Hill, but they got great receivers. And, you know, they got a couple good running backs. And if Tua has a decent year, I think the Dolphins are one of the most improved teams in the NFL based on last year. I think the Bengals take a step back.
Who?
The Bengals.
That's actually you and I are agreeing on a lot of things. It's not about a step back. I think, look, they caught a lot of people by surprise. I think Burrow is for real, and I do think they have a ton of talent.
Yeah.
But you don't.
Chase is great.
You don't fix an offensive line in one off season, and that's their biggest issue. And their defense was not good. And again, that can get better in off season. It's not going to get that much better. So I think they're going to quote unquote take a step back, but it's only because they went to the freaking Super Bowl. Like otherwise, they would just have another good year. I just think it's interesting. I don't know if your saying about the small quarterbacks is interesting because the NFL, they always call it a copycat league. But sometimes they copy things that don't make sense. Like, yes, there's nothing wrong with a Russell Wilson can succeed and a Drew Brees can succeed, but that doesn't mean every guy under 6 foot's going to. And especially when they run a lot.
Like we had the Wildcat years. Yeah, just like the Wildcat a couple years ago. You know, the Dolphins started that. The whole league started doing that. That disappeared.
Yep.
You know, I just think that, you know, again, the small quarterbacks in such a league when the athletes are so huge and quick and fast will catch up to them. I could be wrong. It's just an opinion. But there are 5 or 6 quarterbacks starting. And the other trend that's changed is that years ago they used to make, you know, Aaron Rodgers sat for 3 yards before he played.
Yeah.
You know, now they throw these kids right out there. It could be good. It could be bad. Everybody's different. I think Herbert's the real deal with the Chargers. He's awesome. He's a big kid, though. You know, I think Burrow's very good, too. There's no doubt about Chase is great, the wide receiver. But, you know, there's always going to be ups and downs, and some players adapt too quick. But I think New York is a tough place to play for Wilson. And we'll see. You know, I think they did good in the draft, but I don't think they go over the season win total, which is, I think, 7.
Jeez. Yeah, and that's my thing. Like, it's not even a height to me, big or small. It's their style of play. I think there's nothing wrong with having a guy that is athletic, but it's these quarterbacks that are runners first, and we're seeing it. Lamar Jackson, it's funny. He still hasn't gotten his deal, and everyone wants to proclaim him great. And the guy is a freak of nature when it comes to physical abilities. But we've seen it whenever the playoffs come and they make it a quote unquote half court game where you can't just chuck it or run. They make you dink and dunk. They make you be smart. They make you pick apart defenses. He's not good at that. That's not what he's good at. And look, for Kyler Murray's sake, he's not that, let's say, but he does rely on his legs a lot. The playoffs are not going to let you run. They're going to make you beat them with your arm and your head. And we're seeing that. A lot of these guys that relied on running around, Baker Mayfield, that was his big thing coming out of college, was he wasn't a runner, but he was a scrambler. You're not scrambling in the pros. Like there was only one Fran Tarkenton. Like you know, after 3-4 seconds, if you try to run around, they're going to kill you. And that's the one thing we're seeing with these smaller quarterbacks. Because if they don't try to get rid of the ball, they die.
Yeah, I think, like I said, the defenses are so much quicker. It's an offensive league. The NFL wanted that way, you know, with the receivers and can't the quarterbacks. It's a different time than it was years ago. But the trend right now, last year, Murray, like Arizona started out great. Then Hopkins got hurt, and then they went down. Yeah. So I don't expect much out of Arizona without Hopkins. When he gets back in, yes. So that's a and then the first couple of weeks, you always bet against the teams in the Super Bowl. So you bet against the Rams. And you bet against the Bengals. Like the Rams are opening against Buffalo, -1. I take Buffalo that first Thursday night. There's your first winner of the year.
There you go. So, Buffalo.
I'll give you that. Yeah, that's whatever it is. I think it's September 8th, Thursday night.
Good for you.
So we're giving you Buffalo now.
Yes.
Let's circle this. We're giving you Buffalo July 5th.
There you go. There you go. You can check this gentleman out each and every day. 92.1 is it 92.1 FM Real Radio also
Real Radio 10 to 2 and then
12:30 the Gambler 12:30 the Gambler from 3 to 5 our former home. He's taking the flag and is running with it finally what it should be, the Gambler. Of course, if it is the Gambler, there's no better man to be on there talking sports from a gambling perspective than the Greek. He is 9-1 here on the Greek's Plays of the Days on South Florida Live, so definitely check that out. All right. You brought up something, and I'm curious, not what the future is, but we're hearing all this realignment stuff bubble up again last year, Oklahoma and Texas, SEC now, the Big Ten. Big 14, whatever the hell it is, has their shot with the LA market, USC, UCLA. How do you think that affects the season? Like, have you seen anything when it comes to gambling? Like, is it affecting the numbers now? Because a team like USC is supposed to have a resurgence, and there's still a season to play.
It's not gonna happen now because then there's no change. The next year it'll be a change. Like I said, these teams are gonna have all the basketball too. The difference with the LA teams is they're gonna have to travel to the east, and it's gonna be cold weather. Rutgers, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio State. Those kids ain't gonna dig that. It's like when you're sitting courtside and somebody says, "I got 2 seats. We had a Heat game, 300 level." You don't want to go there. Like I sat courtside. They're playing California, 75 degrees, and also it's a lot of traveling. For the NFL for years, the pros, any team that came from west to the east coast, you always bet against. Because you know what? They always had an advantage with the time zone. So you're going to have to deal with the time zone, the traveling, and the weather. That's a lot 2 years from now, and there'll be bettors that'll be on that.
Yeah, that's the thing that I'm wondering is they don't want NFL people to do it. These are college kids, and we forget that. Because it's a business.
Well, some of the college kids are making more than NFL players.
Well, they are. A lot of these kids might hang around an extra year. I mean, that's why Timmy's hanging around in Gonzaga. Like, he realized, that NIL money is better than flaming out in 2 years in the NBA. But it's just interesting because you're not wrong. Like, there's no one else out there. Like, they're going to be traveling. And now with Rutgers and Maryland, both East Coast teams in the Big Ten, and they're going to have to play them at some point. Like, they're going to be traveling as much as the Seattle Seahawks, but these are kids.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, and the weather's different and the time zone. So there's going to be a lot of different advantages. I mean, I don't think they'll have any 1 o'clock games or 12 o'clock games, or whatever. They do have a 12 o'clock game. That's 9 in the morning. They can't get there Saturday, so they got to travel Friday, and it's going to be cold. Washington's a little cold, but that's about it once in a while. But for the most part, they're in Arizona, obviously Oregon. I mean, it's not that, they're really cold parts, but it's all about the money. And the same deal with basketball. They're going to have to travel a lot because they won't have to deal with the elements of the weather. But I think the weather, the time zone, and also, the schedule and the cold weather will give an advantage to the Big Ten. I mean, if they go from, 20 degrees to 80, it might be a little hot, but they won't mind. But we'll see. College football changes every day, and it's all about money. It never changes. I've always said, go to Publix tonight with no money and tell me you want a steak and milk and see what they do. They'll throw you out on your ass.
Exactly. They don't throw this gentleman on his ass. He's 9-1 so far in his plays here, South Florida Live. Again, check him out. 10-2, 92.1 FM, man. Real radio. And also 3 to 5, 1230, The Gambler on the AM dial. The Greek. Check him out here as well. Probably later in the week, he'll have some more plays for you. He's killing it on the baseball plays. Got Joey Chestnut in the under. And he got the USFL title game. So he's doing it all.
Yeah, I got it. I gave it a USFL game because I did a hot girl in Philly. So that's why I love it, Philly. They should have won the game.
They were up the whole game.
Handicap of 101.
They were up the whole game.
Yeah, I know. I heard.
Check this gentleman out at 10 o'clock this morning. We love you, Greek. Happy 4th, and thanks for joining me, my friend.
All the time. Give us a call later on The Gambler. Love to hear from you. Have a great day.
Peace. That is the one and only Greek. There's no one like him. We always have a lot of fun talking to him. He's a guy that used to join us each and every day. Then he got his own show and sort of forgot about us. But actually, no, we're family. And he does stuff joins us on our stuff. I will join him on his show there on The Gambler. So appreciate him finding some time to join me. Coming up at 8:35, another gentleman that's joined us for years here on the Defo Show. No Defo, just Lubie. The one and only Brett Tessler. As Defo's dubbed him the NFL agent to the stars. He'll join me at about 8:35. Hopefully you all had a great 4th of July. Started out a little rough as we had some sad news out of Chicago. And there was a total, I think, of 3 shootings yesterday. I don't know. I don't have the answers. Don't get me wrong. This isn't a simple thing. But I would love for them somewhere to do something. It'd be cool. Like, literally, I was scared. My family went to fireworks last night in the city. And I was like, okay, can something happen there? Literally there was a cop, an armed cop every 6 feet at this parade. And it still didn't stop someone from injuring over 20 people and killing 6. So it's tough times in America, but we've figured out before. Hopefully we'll figure it out again. Hopefully you figured out some fun on your 4th of July. I did myself. And Defo is in Atlantic City. It is Defo's birthday, so go wish him happy birthday. Facebook Jeff DeForest. That's where you can find him. I don't know if he's going to be on it. He's going to be in a casino from morning, noon, and night the next few days. But you never know. He may have come up for air, and I appreciate your birthday salutations. I will be here all week long. Again, 8:35. The one and only Brett Tessler will join me talking about the NFL odds and ends. A lot of money coming in on the Jets. Don't understand that. A lot of questions about Tua and the Dolphins. Don't understand that. Hopes and dreams abound. We are, as Greek said, I think about a month away from preseason. And yes, that's not actual NFL football, but it's not nothing. It's more than we have now. It is a dead zone. Down here, the Marlins have won 5 in a row. And they welcome, talking about West East, they welcome the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, who took that flight from LA all the way to South Florida to play today. So hopefully that's in the Marlins' favor. They've made some changes. No Derek Jeter, no Gary Denbo. Kim Ng, a lot of pressure on her. We'll see if she continues their winning ways. And a big weekend and a big week for the Miami Hurricanes when it comes to recruiting. Florida's lost on some recruits. They brought in a couple, but they've lost out on a lot. Florida State got a huge offensive line recruit, but they've been hit or miss. The Canes got their quarterback for the 2023 class. They got the offensive lineman in the 2023 class. They got a stud receiver. They got a stud tight end. They got a defensive back. And more seem to be on the way. I don't know what they'll do in the regular season, but you know what? They're winning the summer, which is all that you have right now. So Cristobal and his staff are doing big things on the recruiting trail. Coming back, I'll try and do some things here on the Defo Show. No Defo, just Lubie, coming up again at 8:35. Only Brett Tessler. Do want to say shout out to Hialeah Park. We know they do great things. Talking about casinos, Defo is in Atlantic City because you want to get out of town. But honestly, when it comes to casinos, he didn't need to leave town. Hialeah Park does it when it comes to shows. The boxing match we went to a couple months ago were spectacular. Frankie, then Testa, all the people they have out there do an amazing job. Steve Calabro doing great things there. So we love Hialeah Park. But thank you to them. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Big thank you to them as well. We did have our one show. It was about this time last year, I think August. We went out to the Big Chill. It was cool. We got an hour with Jimmy Johnson, plus Visser, Mama Leslie Visser joined us. So we just sat back and listened to the two of them chop it up. It was so much fun with John and Jimmy as well. Looking to do more Big Chill coming in the next, I think, couple of weeks. John and Jimmy's going to join us back on our Mondays or Tuesdays if there's no Monday. And tomorrow we will have a Kicking It Old School Wednesday, back to a Wednesday with Tony Segredo. Thank you to Texas Roadhouse and Catholic Health Services. We do that each and every Wednesday. Tony will join us. He is on the board of Miami. He's been excited about the Canes, so I'm sure he'll want to talk about the last week or so when it comes to Canes recruiting. We'll talk a little bit of baseball, and by then we may have a move when it comes to the NBA. Kevin Durant wants to get out of Brooklyn. How will that affect Miami Heat? We'll talk about that. So much more next here. The Defo Show. No Defo, just Lubie right here on South Florida Live.
Folks, Tony Segredo here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
You know, people don't like being lied to. That's always the thing. With Pete Rose, If he had just said, of course I bet the Reds. What are you talking about? I had money on every game. We know you did, Pete. It's all right. I mean, now it'd be accepted. In fact, they would have, it's only a matter of time before the manager of the two teams is asked who he likes in the game. All right, we're going down on the field there. We got Tony La Russa. Tony, what do you think tonight? White Sox minus 135? Well, we're going to go to the pen right away, and I'm going to make like 7 righty-lefty switches at inappropriate times, and I'm going to wear out my bullpen. In fact, all of these guys worked in the game last night, so I would think this. I would take the points, take the runs, and take the price on the Boston Red Sox tonight to beat us. I would not lay 135 to win 100 on the Chicago White Sox. Okay, thanks, Tony. Let's go to Alex Cora. Cora, what do you got? Well, we got all our heavy hitters at the beginning of the lineup tonight, and they really pound this White Sox pitcher the last time he was out there. So I would think that we're a good bet, money line, straight up. When's that going to happen? I mean, that's going to be part of the pregame shows now.
Enjoy your trip to work with lots of laughs thanks to Defo and Lubie. Now on the Defo Show.
Welcome back, one and all, to the Defo Show. No Defo, just Lubie here on South Florida Live, our baby, our thing. And we really appreciate everyone who's found us. So far, so good. Who knows what the future holds, but right now we've actually gotten really good feedback, and a lot of people are finding us. So I'm really grateful for that, and grateful to you for finding us and sticking with us. It's been an interesting last few months, and everything we've done has been, if not all our decision, mostly our decision is something we've wanted to do for a long time. So we're doing it, starting our own network here, South Florida Live on YouTube. If you found us on Facebook, cool. Please find us, South Florida Live, on YouTube and subscribe. If you found us on YouTube, check us out on Facebook. South Florida Live on Facebook at SoFla Live. Mike Mayo's Lunchbox each and every day right here at 12 o'clock. Check us out live, both on the Facebook and on the YouTube. Also, our socials, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at SoFla Live. So we're trying to fully get into the digital age. I know a lot of people still want radio. You can listen to us the same way. Just put it on the phone, put it in the car, put the phone down, drive safely, and check out everything we have here on the Defo Show. The Greek telling you to go with Buffalo the first Thursday night of the opener in early September. I know we're itching for football. I'm itching, period. But look, the Marlins have won 5 in a row. They welcome the Angels, so that's cool. It was an interesting weekend, both good and bad. 4th of July yesterday was a little sad, as we did have 3 different shootings. One, the big one, 20-plus people injured, 6 passed in Chicago, in a very affluent, it wasn't urban Chicago, it was a very affluent neighborhood, one of the richest neighborhoods in the country. Very sad at a parade. People, you can't go to a parade even. And also Hank Goldberg passed. Hank Goldberg, a guy that was an icon when it came to South Florida radio. When it came to sports gambling, he was an icon. Like, he was one of the people that when ESPN and the NFL were scared to talk gambling, he was a guy that they allowed to talk gambling in the 90s and 2000s. And did it forever down here. Guy that was akin to Defo, and they were really cool, and they were good friends. And I know Defo always kept tabs with Hank, and Hank kept tabs with Defo. He was living his best life, as they say, in Vegas after doing a long stint down here, South Florida radio. Moved out to Vegas, doing stuff with VSIN, and just living the dream, quote unquote, the generous / gambler dream. And they found him in his home at age 82 yesterday. So our thoughts, prayers go out to his family, his friends, and the sports world at large, because he is an icon in both television and radio, and just anything sports. A lot of it, he was one of the early founders and adopters. So we say goodbye to Hank Goldberg. I didn't know him definitely as well as Defo, but I know he was a fan of what we did, and we really appreciated his support. He was, it's funny, like my first interaction with him was, I remember it was like a Passover, like when I was in college, and I was driving with my dad for some reason from Tampa. I don't know why we were in Alligator Alley, but we're in Alligator Alley for some reason. And we were driving down south, and Fiedler was a quarterback, and we didn't like Fiedler. And look, since then, we've had a lot of crap at quarterback, so you would actually be happy to have Jay Fiedler. But at the time, Fiedler had a propensity to find a way to lose games. Like, he would turn it over in the weirdest freaking ways. So we weren't the biggest fans. So it was on Passover. My dad called, and I never was a call in the sports guy. That's what's so funny, that I do this for a living. Like, I always found it interesting that you want to get in so bad that, we appreciate our callers, like the guys that called forever. We always had great callers, like, become friends. Andy and Eric, and a lot of them have become friends of mine. But like, I never did it myself. But let me go call and wait and have this guy. A lot of the time they'd be negative. So it was like, why would I want to sit through that? So, but my dad was someone that would call regularly into these shows. So he called with me next to him, and it was Passover, and he went after Fiedler. And we're Jewish. So Hank hangs up on my dad, and we're now listening on the radio, and he's like, what is wrong with these people? What are they, anti-Semites? Who's slamming Fiedler on Passover? It was like, we're Jewish. So that's weird. But that was one of my early interactions with Hank. But other than that, we actually had a good relationship. He was, from what we know, a big fan of our show, and we were a big fan of his. So rest in peace, Hank Goldberg, and hopefully you're catching some tickets up there in the Great Blue Yonder. It was an interesting weekend when it came to sports. You had the NBA free agency open with a bang Thursday, over $1 billion in just 5 or 6 contracts between Joker and Bradley Beal and John Morant and Zion Williamson. Darius Garland got a big deal. He hasn't even played a full season yet, health-wise, but he was an all-star last year. So you got a lot of big money going out. Kevin Durant doesn't want to be in Brooklyn anymore. Kyrie Irving supposedly is going to be out of Brooklyn. Miami Heat are supposedly involved in every move. They want either Donovan Mitchell from Utah, or Kevin Durant. To me, the Heat were one shot away from the finals. The fact that they were able to keep the Oladipo signing, I think, is a lot bigger than people give it credit. The dude played really well in the playoffs. His offensive game isn't there, but his defense was there. His rebounding was there, and he was able to his athleticism was there. So to me, he hasn't been healthy in 2-3 years. This will be his first healthy offseason in 3 years. That's when he can work on his offensive game. Remember, before he got hurt, he was an all-NBA player with the Indiana Pacers. Not an all-star, an all-NBA player. He was really good offensively and was great defensively. His issue was injuries, and he's still late 20s, early 30s. So he has plenty of time left if he can get healthy. Well, he looks healthy now. In the playoffs, he looked healthy. He was a big key for the Heat. If you give him a healthy offseason, what can he do? So yeah, the Heat lost PJ Tucker, but we've seen them fill that role with a Jay Crowder, a PJ Tucker. I don't see why they couldn't go and get a TJ Warren or Jay Crowder again and fill that stretch 4, undersized power forward guy that can play 3-4, defend 1 through 4. And some small 5s. I think they can fill that role. Getting Oladipo was big. The dude can come off the bench and give you offensive punch. He can start if you need him to. I don't know what they're going to do in the trade market. It's interesting because they love the whale, and a lot of Heat fans are disappointed if they haven't made a move yet. But they were one shot away from a final spot, and Jimmy Butler is ascended to a different place. If they keep Hero, he wasn't great in the playoffs, but we found out he had an injury, so maybe that was there. He was 6th man of the year, almost led the team in scoring, was borderline all-star. Bam Adebayo should have been an all-star and has been an all-star. One of the top 5 big men, probably in the NBA when you combine offense and defense. And Kyle Lowry, yes, I get it. People are disappointed. He didn't steal the show, but he had big moments in the playoffs. And Riley's called him out, and he's vowed that winning a title is all that matters. You would think he's going to get back in shape. To me, the Heat are in a good position. I'm not, if they don't sign anyone, I'm not disappointed. They don't trade for anyone, I'm not disappointed. However, when there's smoke with the Heat, there's fire. The fact that they've made interesting moves, the fact that they haven't extended Tyler Hero, which they want to do. But the thing is, as we've seen with Devin Booker, once you extend a guy like that, you can't go then trade him. And every trade, they don't want to give up Bam, but they're almost certainly going to have to give up Tyler Hero. So if you extend Tyler Hero, then you can't trade him. So there's been murmurs of extending him. I think he's worth an extension. I think he, with Bam, with Butler, with an Oladipo and a Lowry, can contend in the East, let alone the NBA. But they're trying to get a Mitchell, and they're trying to get Kevin Durant. And I think both are valuable adventures. I think they're 2 guys that he probably could get. I think Durant, they'd have to give up so much to get Durant that, yeah, they'd be better than they are now, but by how much? You have to give up Bam, Hero, Robinson, picks. If you have to give up all of that, yes, to still have an Lowry, to still have Butler and KD is amazing, but you're not that much better than you were. The idea is to get Durant and keep Bam, and I don't know if they can do that. But I think they can get Donovan Mitchell out of Utah and keep Bam. And then if you have Donovan Mitchell, who's 25 and has 3 years left on his deal, who can do almost everything, but his defense hasn't been great. But we've seen guys improve their defense here in Miami. You keep Bam. You have Butler. Right? We don't have to get rid of Lowry to get a Mitchell. You have a lot of depth, young depth, that I think your 7's going to take a step this year. I think we'll see Martin take another step, like we saw Vincent and Strus last year. Like, I know it's the offseason and people are like, why are you talking basketball? But last week was a big deal. And the offseason has always been a big deal since 2010 for the Miami Heat. And I think this offseason is going to be interesting because it's so funny. Like, we're so down here used to our teams not winning that when they have a winning team, we want everything to change. The Heat don't have to change. The Heat have a team that, again, everyone was hurt, and they were still one shot away from going to the finals. They lose Tucker, but that's one spot. You bring back Oladipo. The Heat are in a position to compete for the Eastern Conference and the NBA title right now. And I think they're going to do something. So it's been busy in the NBA offseason already, and it just started like a week and a half ago. The NFL is a month away from preseason. We've heard a lot about the Miami Dolphins this weekend. More murmurs about Tua. It was CBS Sports. I don't know. Someone wrote an article saying, screw Tua. Baker Mayfield's right. He's better. Maybe. But the problem is Baker Mayfield had talent. They had a pretty good offensive line. They had a lot of weapons. They had a really good defense. Stefanski was supposed to be a coach that was supposed to work with Mayfield, and he was a disaster last year. Like, to me, and then he got hurt, and look, he played through the injuries. But, like, to me, Mayfield got a shot and didn't show it. That's my problem with Tua. And it's not like, look, I was hard on Tannehill, but they gave Tannehill 7 years. And they gave him receivers. And they worked on the offensive line. And the defense got better. And he never improved. If everything was perfect, he could be pretty good. Like, Tua hasn't even had a chance. Like, he's had the worst offensive line in the NFL, something Tannehill only had, like, his first year. After that, he didn't have an offensive line like this. He's had no receivers. Every receiver that was out there was, of any talent, was hurt and had the drops. And the running backs, like, it was a bunch of dudes that were on practice squads and should have been on practice squads. So, to me, will Tua be great? I don't know. But he deserves a chance. Like, and this is the most talent he's had by far. It's the most talent he's had since Alabama. And it's the healthiest he's been since that year he came in as a freshman, and then the next year before he got hurt. That's the reality. So to me, I don't know if he's better than Baker Mayfield, but Mayfield got a shot. Mayfield, they kept giving him talent, and he kept getting worse. That hasn't been the case for Tua. All these people that want to slam the guy, like, he's not a runner. He's not Robert Griffin III, but he's not a statue either. He's not Dan Marino or Tom Brady. Like, the dude is athletic. He's undersized, true, but he's not 5'10". Like, he's like 6 foot, 6'1". Like, I've seen the guy. Like, he's not big, but he's not small. He's like in the middle, you know? So let's see. Like, we're in such a world, in just a world at large, let alone sports. Like, we can't just see. We have to, like, pick a stance. And I get it. Sports radio. Defo and the professors make fun of me because I would, like, waffle. I would play the fence. And I get it. You have to have an opinion. But sometimes there is no opinion to have. I think this is a big year for Tua. Yes. Duh. I think Tua will succeed. Why wouldn't he? Like, you give a guy, Jalen Waddle is your second or third receiver. Cedric Wilson Jr. is a guy that the Cowboys didn't want to lose. The Cowboys fans wanted. Cowboys, the higher-ups wanted. He's your third receiver. You know, you still have, I think they kept Williams, like, who has talent. He just has the drops. He's now your fourth guy. Tyreek Hill is legit. Like, Tyreek Hill is a top 3 receiver, probably the most electric talent in the game of football right now. So you add him, you bring in real offensive linemen, not draft picks that you're hoping are good. You bring in an all-pro left tackle in Terron Armstead. You bring in a Pro Bowl caliber offensive guard, which I don't know if they've had that with Miami, and Connor Williams from Dallas, one of the better offensive lines for a long time in football. Like, these are things they haven't done. They go and get real running back guys that have started in this league and had success, not Ahmed and Gaskin. Like, Chase Edmonds isn't a headliner, but the dude was one of the league leaders in yards per carry, started in games, had big games for a team that was successful in Arizona. You have Mostert, who set a record for rushing in playoffs, a guy that was leading the league in yards per carry before he got hurt, a guy that is one of the faster guys. And then you go and bring in Michelle, a South Florida kid that has won 2 Super Bowls between the Patriots and the Rams. Like, he's not a high flyer, but he's a guy that's played big in big moments. You know, like, they haven't had that. So these are things they haven't done. So to me, it just makes sense that the Dolphins would be better. Again, and we're in this the Greek talked about it when I had the Greek on the last segment. You know, we're in the dead period of sports. So we're talking about NBA trades when no one gives a shit about the NBA. And we're talking about mythical things with football. to me, that's true. It's mythical. So like, why get so passionate? Like Dolphins Twitter's become this thing. I don't understand that. Like every fan base has a whatever Twitter where they just yell about everything. They just fight within each other. They're fighting about Tua. It's like, who would you have wanted them to get? This draft wasn't great when it came to quarterbacks. Literally, the first quarterback didn't go to like the 20s. And it's a guy in Kenny Pickett that's not a starting NFL quarterback. Like, who would you want them to get? What free agent? Okay, so you have Tua. They made moves that fit what he does. So he doesn't throw the deep ball. Actually, in college, he threw the deep ball really well. And in the pros, when he's had time, because he never got time because he had a shitty offensive line, he threw the deep ball really well. So first of all, the one gripe against Tua would be the deep ball. He actually throws a real ball. 2, fuck the deep ball. How often do they throw deep balls? This isn't the Raiders of the 70s and 80s. Like, mostly everything is within 20 yards. Get the ball in your athlete's hands, which the Dolphins have a lot now, and let them go make plays. So it's funny. I'm railing on people for talking about this stuff, and then I do 10 minutes on it. So that's what we do. I'm excited for not only football, for the Dolphins. And it's the first time. Look, if you're a Canes fan, it's the same thing with you. Like, the Canes are recruiting on a way they haven't recruited since early Coker. Like, I guess Shannon that 1 year. That first year was Shannon. They had the number 1 class, and they're not doing that. Like Alabama, Georgia, Texas, A&M, with not the Ruiz money. Oh, we have a billionaire. No, they have like 7 billionaires. Like, those, they're not going to match those guys. But they should have a top 10 class, which is fucking insane. Like, they had 1 10-win season or 2 10-win seasons in the last 20 years. I think they've won maybe 1 bowl game in the last 20 years. I mean, they just now committed money that hasn't been seen. They don't have, their facilities are a joke. They don't have a stadium, and they're not gonna. I don't care what Ruiz says. So the fact that they're able to compete right now, even right now, with the big boys, they've gone toe-to-toe with Bama, they've toe-to-toe with Georgia, toe-to-toe with Clemson when it comes to recruiting is impressive. As someone who didn't think they could get Cristobal in here, as someone who was making fun of Cristobal for not having a staff into like February, the fact that he's put together one of the best staffs in the country, the fact that they've gone out and gotten a high-level 4-star quarterback, a 5-star offensive lineman, which is not easy to do. They've gotten 4-star receivers and defensive backs and tight ends. He's done a hell of a job. So to me, what will we see? I don't know. But we should be excited. And that's something we haven't had for a while. Outside of the Miami Heat, the Dolphins and the Canes and the Marlins and the Panthers have not given us a lot to be excited about because they've been So right now, the Marlins have won 5 in a row, and they had made a playoff spot a couple years ago. So cool. The Panthers were the number 1 seed when it comes to the NHL overall. Yeah, they flamed out, almost lost to an old Capitals team and got swept by the eventual runner-up in the Lightning. But at least it feels like the youth is growing. You have the Canes finally spending money, finally focusing on athletics, finally going and recruiting with the big boys. That's cool. I mean, as a Florida State fan, that makes me sad, but it's great for South Florida. And you have the Dolphins and the Heat. You always have the Heat. Every time it feels like they're going away. Riley, Ellisberg, Nick Harrison, Mickey Harrison, Spoelstra. They don't mess around. They make sure that they're going to be right there. The Heat culture is a actual tangible thing, even though that usually would be intangible. But the Dolphins, look, the Dolphins were the banner franchise for South Florida sports because there wasn't South Florida sports, and they won too on top of that. And it's been down since look, everyone says it's been down since Marino. No, it's been down since before then. I love Marino. They never won with Marino. Never. They went to 1 Super Bowl and I think 1 or 2 AFC championship games. They didn't win. He gave them a chance at winning. He was fun, but they've been down since the early 80s. And for the first time since Marino in the early 90s, when they still were competing for AFC titles, they have enough talent right now to compete. Now, the AFC is insane. Outside of like 2 or 3 quarterbacks, every great quarterback is in the AFC. I get it. But when you have a great defense, when you actually put something in the offensive line, when you have a quarterback who's smart and doesn't get in your way, you have a chance to win. And it's the first time since I was in high school, because in college it was when they went and got when I was in college, when they went and got Wanstead and the Saban debacle happened. And ever since then, they've never been the same. For the first time in a long time, you have a coach that seems to get his players and the players like him, which you haven't had. Even when Flores was winning, it seemed like there was a war between Flores and his players. And this is not the 60s. Like, the players make not only more than the coaches, they make light years more than the coaches. Like, you can't be at odds with your players. And eventually Flores is, no one missed him. Like, when Flores was fired and it felt unceremoniously at the time because they were competing for the playoffs, the players didn't come out defending him. Like, every player now is falling in love with McDaniel. So that tells you what was going on with Flores. Was they had some success, but we've seen those coaches in this day and age flame out really quickly. Their message, because these players have the power. Like you have to get on the players' level and understand them, because you can't rule them with an iron fist. They make 10 times the money you make. Like if a coach makes $2 million, that's amazing, right? Well, there are players that are making 20 to 30 million a year, and they're not the highest paid in the league. So the Flores thing, it felt like, and that's why I wasn't shocked when he was fired, because he couldn't figure out the offense. And this is an offense-driven league at this point. So the Dolphins for the first time have a guy who's not a dunce at coach. And God rest his soul, Sperano felt like that. And Cam Cameron felt like that. And Saban was good, but was never great with the Dolphins. And like the list goes on and on and on with their Dave Wanstead. He was a nice guy, but he was a dunce. Like they've had dunce after dunce. This dude is not only bright, but you feel it. Right? Like you don't just hear it from people. When Mike McDaniel talks, when you hear people talk of Mike McDaniel, his intelligence is what shines through, and he gets it. And that's the first thing we've had since Jimmy Johnson and Shula. So to me, I'm excited. I think you should be excited. And I think football, for the first time in a while, will be exciting down here in South Florida. We will have Tony Segredo tomorrow, kicking it old school. Thank you to Texas Roadhouse and Catholic Health Services. We will talk a lot about South Florida sports. We do that a lot down here. We'll see what happens with the Heat. We'll see what happens with the NBA. Durant's just sort of looming out there, and it feels like in the next week or so, his move will happen. Then we'll see what happens with Donovan Mitchell. It feels like Bradley Beal and Lillard. These are names we've heard may be moved. I feel like they're probably not going to be moved. I do hope everyone had a happy 4th of July. I hope they had a safe 4th of July. It started out rough for us out here. As in Chicago, we heard about early in the morning, a parade couldn't even happen without a shooting. And there was, I think, 3 shootings. There's been like 11, I think, nationally since Friday. So it was really sad. But from what I know, there wasn't any others the rest of the day. So I guess that's a positive. Yeah, America. I started out ranting. I'll try not to rant again. I understand people don't tune into us for ranting, but look, we don't just stick it to sports. That's just not what we do. Yeah, well, I'm not trying to live in the news department. I don't want to. I'd rather live, like Defo says, in the toy department here. But when big things happen, talk about them. That's just sort of what we've done throughout the years. A big thing in the sporting world, the gambling world, Hank Goldberg passed away. Was from what I know, a supporter of ours, which was really cool. Was an icon in the South Florida radio world. Was a guy, one of the early proponents of sports gambling into the national sphere. I mean, ESPN adopted him when the NFL was still weird about gambling, still didn't want to mention gambling. Well, they had Hammer and Hank doing picks and doing plays. So, and he covered the Dolphins for ESPN for a long time as well. Had made his way out to Vegas, living his best life or doing stuff with VSIN. They found him in his home at age 82. God rest his soul. Our thoughts, prayers go out to all of those down here and worldwide that were close to Hank or just fans of Hank. Defo was a good friend to Hank, and Hank was a good friend to Defo, so we always had a great relationship. So sad to see him go. Our hearts are with him. And again, hopefully he's up there in the sky cashing tickets, as Defo would say. It is Defo's birthday, so go find him on Facebook. You can't find him here because he's in Atlantic City. The traveling man. He made fun of me because I've been to Thailand and I've been to Europe and Greece. And I mean, Greece is part of Europe, but Greece and France and Italy and made it to Costa Rica. And I've been all over the place. Well, he's picking up the slack lately, as he was in this last month. He's been in Italy, New Orleans, and now Atlantic City, New Jersey. So go to Facebook, wish Defo a happy birthday. The big 71 for Defo. Coming up next, we will talk with the one and only Brett Tessler, the agent to the stars of the NFL, getting closer and closer. I think training camps open, if not this week, soon. And you have the preseason, the beginning of August, and you have the NFL season, the end of August, beginning of September. So looking forward to that. College football, that's what it is. You have the NFL beginning of September. You have college football starting at the end of August, Labor Day. So we're literally not a month and a half away, but this next month, we will start seeing college football. So excited about that. Excited to have you with me this morning. Hopefully you all did have a happy, healthy, and a safe 4th of July. I didn't get out the fireworks. Hopefully you did. My wife and I promised ourselves to be the last 4th of July without fireworks. To me, I've grown up on it. Yeah, as a little kid, the noise scared me. But since then, I love it. It's not 4th of July without fireworks. Hopefully you all found some fireworks, safely watched, We got to check out the New York fireworks on TV last night, and they do one of the growing up, I always wanted to do New Year's in Times Square, and then I realized that it's got to be fucking hell. You got to get out there early and be there all day. How do you eat, drink, go to the bathroom? No. So I don't really want to do that, but I would like to get up to New York or DC or one of these major cities where they do a really cool firework. Like it's like 30 minutes. Like it was ridiculous what they did in New York. So even on TV, it was cool. So I can't even imagine being out there. So hopefully you all got to enjoy your 4th of July. Appreciate you finding us this morning. Coming up at 12 o'clock, you will have the Lunchbox, the one and only Mr. Hot Dog Eating Contest himself, Mike Mayo, will be here on South Florida Live. I will join him. And the Greek has his plays, and I think we'll do more plays probably tomorrow. We've been doing twice a week for most weeks. He is 9-1. He wanted to correct me, 9-1 on the Greek's plays of the day. So definitely check that out right here on South Florida Live. Please, if you found us on Facebook, find us on YouTube and subscribe. Found us on YouTube, find us on Facebook at SoFly Live. Also on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Coming up next, the one and only Brett Tessler, as Defo dubbed him, the agent to the stars, joins me here. Appreciate you joining me for more fun right here on the Defo Show. No Defo, just Lubie on South Florida Live.
Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
The lovely Debbie Boone joins us here. The song You Light Up My Life. And it's one of those songs that, well, at least for some period of time, I think in virtually every human being, no matter what language they speak, that it was in their head for a period of time. To the point where everybody walked around with that You Light Up My Life on their mind, right? Which has to be a sensational tribute and distinction for anybody that's in the music business.
Well, for the most part, yes. And I am very, very grateful. But a few people did want to break that vinyl over my head.
Here's your record, Debbie. I'm using it as a Frisbee. What are you talking about?
Buenos dias. The cafecito is piping hot. Why not enjoy it with Defo and Lubie? It's now time for the Defo Show.
All righty, welcome back to the Defo Show. No Defo, just Lubie here on South Florida Live. You can check out all of our South Florida content on 5 Reasons Sports Network. Ethan Skolnick's South Florida monster he's doing great things when it comes to South Florida sports. To me, it's become the home of South Florida sports when it comes to content. So check out all of our stuff there. Also, the Believe Network. We're still doing things with the Believe. We do more national podcasts when we have, like that Debbie Boone interview was on Believe. More nationally centric focused interviews. Believe, BLEAV.com, search After Hours. And of course, right here, our home for the Defo Show, Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, and the Greeks Plays of the Day, South Florida Live. So I really do appreciate everyone who's found us. It actually does warm my heart. But been like, where are you? We're here. You know, like, why aren't you on radio? Because I don't want to be. Like, look, it's funny. The Greek talked about this a lot, like the business world and life and this and that. Like, I'm having a boss. We got along with our bosses. They treated us well. They treated us fine. But I'm not going to lie. If you can be your own boss, why not? You know, like my wife has owned her own company for years now, and it's not easy. She works her ass off, her and her best friend, who's her partner. But they do their thing. They set the rules. They set the ground rules. And again, we didn't have issues with our bosses. But what I found in the business world is when you should be forward thinking. A lot of businesses aren't. Like, they worry about the bottom line so much that they get in their own way. Like, the bottom line matters. You want to make money. But a lot of when they talk about you need to spend money to make money, that's not like you need to spend $10 to make 30. What it is you need to think big. You need to think overreaching so that you can do big things. If you're worried about nickel and diming employees, worried about nickel and diming customers, then all you're going to do is focus on the money and not focus on where you can succeed. And so often in the business world, whether it's radio, whatever the hell sector it is, so often in the business world, like, money is the factor, money is the focus, and not succeeding and winning, not being better. You know, and we see that in the sports world so much. Like, they have these salary caps, but so many teams come under it or go over it. And it's not about the money. They make so much money. It's about how they, like, the way the Warriors think is how you should think in sports. Like, yeah, you don't want to spend money on nothing, but you will spend money to win. And that's what you should focus on, treating employees right, treating customers right, because not only because it's the right thing to do, but because it's what wins. Like, Mark Cuban was able to turn the Dallas Mavericks around because he thought big picture. He's like, okay, we may lose money because we're going to spend a lot, but if we can change the quote unquote culture, if we can change the idea of how our business is seen, then that's just as important as actually making money. That's how you make money. If you focus on what you're spending so much, it's just weird to me because so many businesses focus on the bottom line that, like, they don't realize that's how you lose. That's like an old world way of fucking thinking. Like, businesses that succeed, let alone businesses in the modern day that succeed, treat their employees well. They treat their customers well. They don't spit in the face of their employees and their customers. And that's what we're trying to do here. You know, we're a quote unquote startup, as they say, and we're trying to treat everyone right. And we'll see how it works. So those who have found us, those who are looking to find us and have sort of popped in here, we really appreciate it. It means the world to us. And we're going to have some fun. And as you know, we do that each and every day here. But Mike Mayo's Lunchbox is a lot of fun. The Greeks Plays of the Day. And we have a lot of we're working on some other things. And we will keep expanding, keep growing, and keep trying to bring you South Florida content. Not South Florida sports. South Florida content. Because South Florida is known for so much great things, so much fun. And it's not often enough shown. So that's what we're going to try and do here. So hopefully we keep your life fun, keep your life enjoyable and interesting, or at least make your mornings fun here on the show. Defo is in Atlantic City. It is his birthday, the big 7-1. So happy birthday to the one and only Jeff DeForest. He will be back later this week. So yes, you're stuck with me, as they say. You've been stuck with me for over for 12. I think it's 12 years now. I think this week is our anniversary of starting, or last week was our anniversary of doing shows together. So 12 years, Jeff DeForest and I have been doing shows together, and we've grown. We've gone backwards. We've done a lot in this 12 years. So we now have our own thing, and hopefully we keep you entertained is what we try to do here. It was 4th of July yesterday. It was an interesting day when it came to the country. It was an interesting day when it came to independence, and it came to celebration. And I got to celebrate. Hopefully you all out there got to celebrate. We're going to take a quick break because I have to get Brett Tessler on the line, and I'm by myself. So in just a couple minutes, we're going to talk with the one and only agent to the stars, Brett Tessler. Thank you to Will and Trust attorney Michael D. Wild. Sorry for just a short segment, but thank you for sticking with me. Coming up next, the one and only Brett Tessler talking a little NFL here on the Defo Show with Lubie on South Florida Live.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
The simple pleasures of this job, the way a stadium sounds when one of my players performs well on the field, the way we are meant to protect them in health and in injury. Less money, more attention, caring for them, caring for ourselves in the games too.
The agent to the stars, the one and only Brett Tessler.
Welcome back, one and all, to the Defo Show. No Defo, just Lubie here on South Florida Live. Def Man is celebrating the big 7-1 up in Atlantic City, New Jersey. We do this each and every week, be it Tuesdays or Mondays. Talk a little NFL with the one and only Agent of the Stars, Brett Tessler, brought to you by Will and Trust attorney Michael D. Wild. Good morning, Mr. Tessler. How you doing, Brett? Okay. Brett, man, you there? Test man. Always fun. Test man, you there? Always fun. Technical issues. Test man. Let's try this again. This is the Defo Show. No Defo. By myself. Such a good time. And we've now lost Brett Tessler. Alrighty. Let's try to call him on air. We've never done this before. Try to call him on air. Let's see if we can get him. We're hearing a ringing. This is great radio.
Lubie.
Mr. Brett Tessler, good morning, my friend. How you doing?
Hey, sorry we had a bad connection. What's going on, my man?
Nothing much. Appreciate to have you here. A man who's already on a road trip following his 4th of July. The guy who has made Wisconsin and South Florida equally his home. Welcome you. We will talk about Will and Trust attorney Michael D. Wild later on. Brett, I did want to talk some NFL odds and ends. Always, we talked about Deshaun Watson. A lot of cases have been settled. What's interesting is last week they had the hearings surrounding him and his punishment, but nothing came out of that. What does that mean? Like, I thought we'd have an answer. It feels like we still don't have an answer when it comes to Deshaun Watson.
Well, something's certainly going to come out of it one way or the other. Everything the NFL does is usually very strategic as it relates to timing of announcements, things like that. And they're probably trying to really strategically look at this from all angles because this one isn't so cut and dry like some of the other issues that players have been punished for in the past. And, there could be a lot of potential fallout both ways because if they come down hard on a player, then you're going to have the Players Association, the public, everybody else asking why, wasn't there some owners or wasn't there an owner specifically who had similar types of behavior? And so, these are the things that they need to really look at before they go ahead and pull the trigger on whatever it is they want to do. Obviously, the retired judge who handles this will issue her ruling first, and then the NFL will go from there.
We're talking with the agent of the Stars, only Brett Tessler. Follow me now on Twitter at Tessler Sports. Also, is great on Facebook, Brett Tessler. All right, so we talked last week or a couple weeks ago about Baker Mayfield, and it felt like he's right now with what's going on with Deshaun Watson. Mayfield is their best solution at quarterback. Of course, right after Mayfield came out, I think like the next day and said, it's done. They're done with me. I'm done with them. Like he didn't even pull any punches. If you're Baker Mayfield's agent, what does that mean? Because from what we've heard, it's not like NFL teams are beating down his door. The guy is a competent quarterback. Look, you follow the Browns. Like, it's not like he's total trash, but he has been up and down. And it feels like there are some teams that could use his services. But as of now, again, it feels like teams are not banging down his door.
So the problem with Baker Mayfield, as much as it's a matter of production, and he's been, reasonably productive. He's had some good seasons. He's had a couple not so good seasons. The problem is that it's just about time for him to get paid. And, the way it works is the quarterbacks who are the next man up on the new contract list, those guys just tend to get paid higher and higher and higher. And apparently the Browns and Baker Mayfield's people have not been able to agree on what he's worth. And so with that, the writing's on the wall that a breakup is coming. And so that's why a big part of the reason why, that's a big part of the reason why the Browns made the move for Deshaun Watson. Forget about the fact that he's far, far more talented than Baker Mayfield, as he is most quarterbacks in this world. But, if you're going to pay premium price, you want to get a premium player in return.
Well, what's interesting, Brett, is, and something came out, I just saw like ESPN, the most underappreciated quarterbacks or most underappreciated players. And of course, Jimmy G and Tua's on that list. It feels like Baker was almost over. Like, Baker got a lot. Look, he's in State Farm commercials. He's getting all this national love when he hadn't really done anything on the field. This is a big year for Tua. It's a big year for the Miami Dolphins. You've been a guy that has worked with Mike McDaniel in the past. You've had good things to say. All we've heard is good things, and I've asked you a lot about the Dolphins and Tua. Look, what are your expectations for them? Because we've seen a lot of people be sort of ho-hum because, again, the AFC has gotten stronger. But you've been around a lot of, look, Mostert was a huge acquisition for them, and he's a guy that you've been around for a long time. Like, could you see this not working out? Because to me, they've done what I wanted them to do for so long that it feels like it's sort of set up for success, not failure, for the first time in a long time.
Of course, I could see it not working out. I mean, the game is played on the field, not on paper. And so as impressive as the offseason has been thus far, and as much excitement and optimism as there is around Mike McDaniel, and as much as people are hoping for the best for Tua, the reality is Mike McDaniel's never done this before. Tua has not reached his full potential. Will he? Won't he? Well, we're going to find out. But, it's not like it's ever really been seen before at the highest level. So, he's shown small flashes and small sample sizes under not necessarily the most opportune situations with, prior coaches here and stuff like that. So, it could work spectacularly, or it could fail miserably. And, yes, Mike McDaniel is going to give Tua every opportunity from a schematic standpoint. They've given it to him from a talent around him standpoint. But at the end of the day, Mike McDaniel's not going to be able to step on the field and throw passes for him. So it's just one of those things where the table will be set, and strictly, it's going to be a sink or swim season for Tua. And I am as curious and as anxious to see how it all plays out as you and everybody else is.
Well, and we've talked about this a lot, and the faith that not only McDaniel's putting in him, but we've seen Tyreek Hill every week say something else about just how great he is. Look, you seem to have a great relationship with your players. They seem to be pretty honest with you. How important is that? Because again, fans will say, "Who cares? They're big boys," and I get it. They're getting paid a lot of money, but they're still human. And we've seen Kevin Durant has done everything on the biggest stages. He still likes those pats on the back. When you talk to your players, how important is it to them that the organization, the coaching staff, believes in them? Like, does it matter to them, and how much does it matter?
I mean, every player is different. And, just like every person out there is different, some people tend to be more affectionate, tend to be more emotional. Some guys are a little more even keel. Some guys can find support and encouragement at home, through family, through, friends. And then there's other guys out there, unfortunately, who don't have a family, where in some cases, their coaches are maybe the only family they have. And so it's very important in those instances that they get, reaffirmation and appreciation and, confidence and other things that coaches can help provide for them.
We know you're a man surrounded by love and affirmation, with be it your beautiful family, be it your clients, and also this gentleman who supported you and has been a big help to us, whether it's Defo or yourself, but only Michael D. Wild. Talk about support. We not only need it in life, we need it in the afterlife when it comes to us and our families. And Michael D. Wild will give you that support as much as anyone ever.
So very true, Lubie. And, as you said, he's been a tremendous help to me and my family, as well as for many of my clients and for thousands and thousands of South Florida residents. So anybody out there who needs to get their estate plans taken care of, reach out to Michael Wild at southfloridawills.com, and you'll see just how easy, affordable, and quick he makes this process. And it's one of those things that's just too important to continue to procrastinate on. If you really want to make sure that your family's taken care of, because you never know what's next, reach out to Michael Wild, southfloridawills.com.
Tessman, I know you have a road trip ahead of you. Enjoy. Be safe out there, please. And we will talk to you next week. Thanks a lot.
Have a great week, Lubie. Thanks.
Be well, Tessman. The one and only Brett Tessler, the agent to the stars. It's something I should do. My wife is the planner, the organizer in our relationship, in our life. I sort of suck when it comes to stuff like that. Grew up in a family where, like, you don't talk about those things. Well, you have to. Like, they don't handle themselves as much as we want them to. They don't handle themselves. Michael D. Wild does a great job. He handled Defo's stuff when Defo's mother was getting ill, when Defo's mother's passed. Michael D. Wild was helping them before, during, and after, and to this day. God rest her soul, she's been gone over a year now. Michael D. Wild still helps them with things. And when we lost my grandmother, it was a sort of a pain in the ass. Even if you have a will and you have everything done, probate, there's a whole lot of stuff, especially when it comes to property, that even when you do everything the right way, it's still a pain in the ass. So definitely don't do it the wrong way. Get someone, sit down, be an adult, put on the big boy and big girl and whatever pants you put on, and be an adult. Michael D. Wild does a great job, and sit down and really focus on the afterlife. And because you know what, God willing, you have loved ones that will be here in the aftermath, and you want to make life as easy for them in your passing. Talking about passing, Hank Goldberg passed away yesterday, an icon in this industry. And when it comes to South Florida sports in general, we were big fans of his. From what we know, he's big fans of us. So we send our love, our thoughts to him, his family. Was an interesting day on 4th of July. Hopefully everyone had a great, happy, healthy 4th of July. Defo, we are not here. Defo is not here. Defo, it is his birthday, by the way. So happy birthday, the one and only Jeff DeForest, the big 7171. It is interesting that he is in Atlantic City and not here with me. That tells you where he wants to be for his birthday. It tells you where he wants to be most days, actually. He was in New Orleans at a casino like last week, and this week he's already in Atlantic City, and he's the only human to find a casino in Italy, goes all the way to Venice and finds the one casino in all of Italy. That is Jeff DeForest. So wish him happy birthday on his Facebook. Appreciate you all writing with me. Hopefully everyone had a healthy and a safe 4th of July. Love my fireworks. Love my barbecue. We started it off Friday on the Lunchbox, where you can check that out each and every day here at 12 o'clock. Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. Mayo did the hot dog eating challenge. I thought he could go over 6 and a hook, get to 7 or more. Devo thought he'd go under, and he did. He didn't even finish. We gave him 10 minutes. That's fun. Lights flickering. That's what you want. We gave him 10 minutes to do 7 hot dogs. He did 8.5 minutes and ate 5. So he failed miserably. A guy that literally goes from restaurant to restaurant eating massive meals. You would think if anyone's stomach outside of Joey Chestnut was ready for competitive eating, it'd be Mike Mayo. He was not ready. He was getting the meat sweats by like the second hot dog, and he failed miserably. He did not do that. But we'll see. We can maybe have more food challenges with him. See if he proves us wrong or right. You can check him out right here at 12 o'clock. Mike Mayo's Lunchbox. We'll talk a lot about food and a little bit of sports. Hopefully your sporting weekend was entertaining. We have the NFL around the corner. Camps, I think, open up this week. And we have preseason in about a month. And you have college football season starts the end of August. It was a very eventful week if you are a Miami Hurricanes fan. They are killing it on the recruiting trail. What does that mean on the season? I don't know. Nothing. I mean, these players aren't even coming to Miami, let alone playing. But it's momentum. You want momentum. You want positivity. And around sports team that's had so much negativity the last 2 decades, Cristobal has brought a lot of excitement and a lot of energy, and that's something that we haven't had for the Canes in a long time. Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins, Chris Greer, actually, shockingly enough, has done that for the Dolphins. And the Miami Heat are still in the news. People are like, why are you talking basketball? Well, it's the Heat. Like, they are in the mouth of Kevin Durant. They're in the mouth of Donovan Mitchell. Bradley Beal isn't leaving, but if he was to leave, the Heat are supposedly one of the teams he'd want to go to. Damian Lillard is not signing an extension with the Blazers because he wants them to prove to him, which they can't because no one wants to go to Portland. They're a destination for everyone. And yes, South Florida's nice, but that's not it. Because there's a lot of cities that are nice. Look, Dallas is a cool city. No one goes there free agent wise. Like, it's Riley, they win. Like, the Heat win. In the dire, most dire days, the Miami Heat that year brought in Jimmy Butler and went to an NBA Finals. Like, they win. When an organization wins like that, people take notice. So, a lot of reasons to be excited down here in South Florida. The Miami Marlins have now won 5 in a row. The Angels come into town tonight. Let's see if the Marlins can keep that winning streak going. Talking about winning, the Greek talked a lot about this today. Talked with the Greek earlier in the show. The Greek is now 9-1, 9-1 with his plays of the day, combining NBA Finals plays, baseball plays, and he had his USFL title game play as he took Philadelphia, and Philadelphia proved him right, getting 4 points, losing by 3. He's a winner. So the Greek is 9-1. So check him out later in the week here on South Florida Live. Please subscribe. We appreciate everyone who's found us, everyone who's following us. It really means a lot. Like, this is our thing. This is our baby. And we are going to bring any and all content we can to South Florida and more. So it means the world to us that you found us and that you're supporting us and you continue to support us. We really appreciate it. We really are grateful for it. And we hope everyone had a tremendous 4th of July weekend. Again, it is Defo's birthday. So, of course, why would he celebrate it with me? He's celebrating it with his wife and with casinos. That's about right. So go find him on Facebook, Jeff DeForest. Wish him a happy birthday from me and you. And we hope everyone had a happy, healthy, and a safe 4th of July. It's going to be interesting. Tomorrow we will be kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segredo. Thank you to Texas Roadhouse and Catholic Health Services. The great Ed Garcia will join us as he does via video, making us look bad as he always looks so great. We'll talk a little college football then as realignment is on everyone's lips. UCLA, USC, the latest from the Pac-12 to the Big Ten. It seems like Oregon and Washington are close to doing that same move. And down here, FSU, Clemson, North Carolina, Virginia, the ACC could be next. We'll see if our teams find a new home. We'll talk about all of that. Yes, I know Wimbledon is going on. I get it. I think we've gotten to the quarters now. This is the fun week where you work down to quarters, to semis, to the finals next weekend. So we will, I'm sure I'll touch on that a little bit. Maybe we'll get Harvey on, or maybe Mr. Jersey himself, Atlantic City Defo, will join me later in the week, talk a little Wimbledon, because I actually loved tennis. I grew up playing tennis with my family. I was on the high school tennis team for half a year before other things got in the way and I quit. I talk about not quitting. That's the only time I've ever quit anything was tennis, and it was just, I didn't have time for it. But I've loved tennis my whole life. Huge tennis fan. My parents still watch like relentlessly, like Defo. I don't know what happened when the American men fell off. It stopped being as fun to me. So I don't know. I don't follow tennis like I used to, but there's nothing like Wimbledon. Wimbledon's a great time. So maybe we'll touch on that as the week goes on. And I do wish the Marlins well tonight. I know they play the Angels. I don't know if it's tonight or not. Let's see. This is always good radio. 6:40 tonight, the Marlins and the Angels are on down here in South Florida. So the Marlins look to extend that winning streak. They are just 2 games under 500. Gary Dembo out. Derek Jeter gone. Kim Ng sitting there squarely on the hot seat. We'll see if the Marlins can keep winning for her and for us and for you. I am Mike Lubie Lubitz. Appreciate you all finding me today. Coming up again at 3 p.m. At 12 p.m. The one and only Mike Mayo has Mike Mayo's Lunchbox right here at 12 p.m. Again, the Facebook, South Florida Live, at SoFly Live. The YouTube, South Florida Live. I will join him. You can join us. And again, tomorrow morning, we'll be back here right at 7 o'clock For Defo, Mr. Birthday Boy up there in Atlantic City. Thank you, the Greek, for joining me. Thank you, Brett Tessler. Thank you all for joining me. We'll check you out tomorrow morning right here on South Florida Live.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my show.